You may be sitting here tonight, heart heavy with questions that feel too big to answer, carrying burdens that no one else sees. Perhaps your smile hides 1,000 unspoken fears. And though you wake up each morning and go about your day, deep inside you feel like something is broken. It is a quiet kind of ache, the one you don't always talk about, the kind that makes you wonder if things will ever change. Life sometimes feels like a long tunnel with no light at the end. And in those moments you wonder if your story has already been written, if the best parts are behind you, and if all that remains is a struggle without relief. But let me remind you of something. Your story is not finished. The chapter you are living now may be filled with pain and uncertainty, but it is not the conclusion of who you are. Every storm eventually passes, and every night eventually surrenders to the dawn. Even when the world feels too heavy to carry, there is a gentle truth that can hold you steady. Nothing stays the same forever. Change is coming, healing is coming, and even the hardest season of your life carries within it the seeds of something new. You might look at yourself and feel small, fragile, or unworthy of hope, but you are stronger than you think. Think of all the days you thought you would not make it through, and yet here you are. Think of the nights you cried quietly into your pillow, believing you would not see another sunrise, and yet you opened your eyes again. This alone is proof that you are still standing, even when the world tried to knock you down. Strength is not about never breaking, it's about finding the courage to keep going even when you feel shattered. Perhaps right now you are carrying regrets, mistakes you cannot erase, words you cannot take back, and memories that haunt you when you are alone. But your past does not define your future. Every human being carries scars, but scars are not signs of weakness. They are proof of survival. They tell the world, I have been through the fire and I am still here. Do not let shame convince you that you are unworthy of love or peace. You are worthy simply because you are alive, simply because your heart is still beating, and because there is still more for you to discover in this life. I know it hurts when the people you trusted walk away, when the love you gave so freely was not returned, when you gave your best and it still was not enough. Betrayal, rejection, loneliness, these wounds cut deeply, and sometimes they make you question your worth. But please remember, your value is not measured by how others treat you. Their blindness does not make you invisible. Their silence does not make you voiceless. Their leaving does not make you unlovable. Sometimes the people we lose are the very ones who were never meant to stay. And though it breaks your heart, losing what was never meant for you opens the door to what truly is. There are moments when everything seems delayed. Your dreams, your goals, your hopes for the future. You may look around and see others moving ahead while you feel stuck in the same place. This can create a heavy ache in your chest, the thought that you are being left behind. But what if your journey was not meant to match theirs? What if the timing of your life is carefully woven in ways you cannot yet see? You are not late and you are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be, even if you cannot yet understand why. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the roots of a tree hidden beneath the soil. For months, maybe years, no one sees them. To the outside world, it looks as if nothing is happening. But underground, life is growing quietly, preparing to rise. Then one day, without warning, a sprout breaks through the surface. What seemed like sudden growth was really years of unseen preparation. This is your life too. The silence, the waiting, the moments of stillness, they are not wasted. They are shaping you, preparing you, grounding you for what is coming next. And so, when life feels broken, when your chest feels heavy and your steps feel uncertain, remind yourself that you are still becoming. You are not at the end, you are in the middle of something sacred. Healing takes time, growth takes time, and transformation is not always visible right away. But it is happening quietly, steadily, like the roots beneath the soil. One day you will look back on this season and realize that what felt like the end was really the beginning. You will see that the moments that almost broke you were the very moments that built you. you will understand that even in your weakness, you were never abandoned. For now, all you must do is take the next breath, take the next step, and whisper to yourself, I am still here and I am still becoming. And as you carry this truth with you, you will slowly begin to see that brokenness does not mean the end of beauty. In fact, it is often in the cracks that the light begins to shine through. And as you hold on to that thought, that even in brokenness there is the possibility of light, you begin to notice something shifting deep within you. It may not be loud, it may not be visible to the world around you, but it is real. It is the quiet whisper that tells you that maybe you don't have to control everything. Maybe you don't have to fix everything all at once. Maybe what you need most is to let go of the weight you've been forcing yourself to carry. The weight of trying to figure out the answers to every question. The pressure of holding your entire world together with tired hands. You see, there is a certain beauty in surrender. Not the kind of surrender that makes you weak, but the kind that frees you from battles you were never meant to fight alone. For so long, you may have believed that your strength was measured by how tightly you could hold on to people, to plans, to the picture of how you thought life should look. But sometimes true strength lies not in holding on, but in releasing, trusting that even if you let go, the ground will not crumble beneath you. Think about how rivers flow. They do not resist the bends, they do not fight against the rocks in the path. They move, they adapt, they continue forward, because they trust the course laid out before them. And yet, every bend, every stone, every turn in the river shapes its journey, giving it form and purpose. In the same way, when you surrender to life's flow, when you stop trying to control every outcome, you create space for new possibilities to enter. What feels like delay is often direction. What feels like detour is often protection. It is hard, I know, to wait without answers, to walk forward without a clear map, to silence the voice inside you that demands certainty. You may wonder, what if I never reach where I want to be? What if things never get better? These questions can haunt your nights and steal the peace from your days. But let me ask you something in return. What if the unknown is not a threat, but a gift? What if the unanswered parts of your story are exactly where beauty will be written? So many of the most meaningful moments in life arrive unplanned. Think about the times you stumbled into friendships that changed you, the opportunities that showed up when you least expected, the lessons you learned not because you sought them, but because life placed them gently or sometimes painfully in your path. You could not have predicted them, yet they became part of who you are. In the same way, the unanswered questions you carry today may hold tomorrow's most beautiful answer. This is why patience is such a tender kind of strength. It is not passive, it is not about doing nothing. Patience is the courage to trust that what is meant for you will not pass you by, even if it arrives later than you hoped. It is the quiet resilience to keep walking, even when the path feels endless. It is the wisdom to believe that timing has a reason, even if you cannot yet see it. When you practice surrender, you begin to notice that not every closed door is a punishment. Some doors close because what lies behind them was never meant to bring you peace. Some delays happen because the foundation beneath you is still being strengthened. Some losses occur because you were meant to make space for something greater. And while in the moment it may feel unfair, even cruel, with time you begin to see how those endings led you exactly where you needed to be. Perhaps right now you are wrestling with the need to control an outcome in your life. You replay conversations in your mind, you analyze decisions, you try to predict the future as though worrying hard enough will bend it to your will. But the truth is, worry does not build bridges, it only builds walls that keep you from resting. What if instead of trying to hold every detail in your hands, you allowed yourself to breathe and trust that life is still unfolding for you, even in the silence? Surrender is not giving up. It is leaning into the truth that you are guided, even when you cannot see the path ahead. It is understanding that your worth is not tied to how quickly things happen, nor to how perfectly they unfold. You are not running out of time. You are not falling behind. You are simply being shaped, being refined, being prepared for a future that will one day make sense of the struggles you carry today. So the next time your heart feels restless, remind yourself that it is okay to not have all the answers. It is okay to not know the timing. It is okay to trust the process, even when it feels uncertain. Like the river flowing through bends and valleys, you too are moving, even when it feels like you are still. Every step, every pause, every delay is part of your becoming. And one day when you look back, you will realize that surrender was never about losing control. It was about finding peace. It was about allowing life to show you that even in uncertainty, you are always being carried forward. And with each gentle step, you will begin to notice that the more you release, the lighter you feel, and the more space you create for healing, for hope, and for the kind of joy that is not dependent on everything being perfect. This is the quiet strength of surrender, the strength that softens your battles, eases your burdens, and reminds you that even when you cannot see the whole picture, it is still being painted with care. And as you learn to release the weight of control, something remarkable begins to happen inside of you. With each moment of surrender, you create space for healing, space for your heart to rest after carrying so much for so long. But healing does not always arrive the way you expect. It is not always a loud breakthrough or a sudden miracle. Sometimes it is a quiet process, a slow softening, a gentle mending of wounds that once felt too deep to touch. Healing often begins not when the world around you changes, but when you finally begin to change the way you see yourself. For so long, you may have believed that you had to keep going without pause, ignoring the parts of you that ached for attention. You smiled when you were breaking inside. You kept busy so you would not have to feel. You silenced your own pain because you thought it made you weak. But healing asks you to do the opposite. It asks you to slow down, to acknowledge the cracks, to sit with the discomfort instead of hiding it. Because it is in facing the pain that you begin to loosen its grip on you. Think of a wound on your skin. If ignored, it festers. If hidden, it does not disappear, it only deepens. But when you clean it, when you tend to it gently and consistently, it begins to close. The same is true for the wounds in your heart. They do not vanish simply because you avoid them. They heal when you allow yourself to feel, when you speak your truth, when you forgive yourself for not being perfect.
Forgiveness, especially self-forgiveness, is one of the hardest steps in healing. You may carry memories of mistakes, of choices you wish you could undo, of words you wish you had never spoken. You replay them in your mind, punishing yourself over and over as though reliving the guilt might somehow change the past. But guilt is not a teacher, it is a prison. True growth does not come from punishing yourself endlessly, but from acknowledging your flaws and choosing to rise above them. You cannot rewrite yesterday, but you can transform tomorrow.
And then there is the matter of forgiving others. The ones who hurt you, betrayed you, left you in the moments you needed them most. Carrying the weight feels heavy because anger is heavy. Resentment is heavy. You believe that holding onto it protects you. But in truth, it only chains you to the very pain you want freedom from. Forgiveness does not mean what they did was right. It does not mean forgetting or excuses. Forgiveness means choosing yourself, choosing peace over bitterness, choosing to no longer let their actions poison your soul. As you begin to forgive, as you begin to let go of guilt and resentment, you start to notice small shifts. The air feels lighter, your chest does not ache as sharply, and your mind begins to quiet its endless replay of old memory. Healing is not a straight path, it is a winding road with days of progress and days of setback. Some mornings you will wake up hopeful and some nights you will cry again, but Every step, even the stumbling ones, is part of the journey. Healing is not about never hurting again. It is about learning to carry the hurt without letting it define you. Consider how the seasons change. Winter feels endless until the first signs of spring emerge. The trees that once stood bare begin to bloom again, slowly, steadily. Your heart is no different. It may go through winters of silence where joy feels distant and hope feels frozen. But inside, life is still there, waiting for the right moment to return. Healing teaches you that even after your coldest seasons, warmth will always find its way back to you. It is in these moments of slow transformation that you begin to rediscover yourself. Beneath the layers of pain and disappointment lies a self that has not been destroyed but only hidden. A self that still longs to laugh freely, to love deeply, to live fully. Healing is about uncovering that self again. It is about remembering that you are not your wounds, you are the one who survived them. And yet, healing also asks for patience. It will not be rushed. You cannot force a flower to bloom by pulling at its petals, and you cannot force your heart to mend by demanding quick fixes. True healing requires gentleness, consistency, and trust. Some days it may feel like nothing is changing, but trust that beneath the surface, new strength is quietly forming. So allow yourself to breathe again. Allow yourself to rest without guilt. Allow yourself to be imperfect without shame. Healing does not mean you will never feel pain again. It means the pain will no longer control you. It means you will learn to rise, even with the scars, and find beauty in the resilience you never knew you had. And when you finally reach that place, when the memories no longer sting, when the bitterness no longer rules you, you will see that healing was not just about recovery. It was about transformation. It was about becoming softer, wiser, stronger. It was about learning that even after being broken, you are still capable of being whole. This is the quiet gift of healing, not the erasure of pain, but the rebirth of hope. And as hope returns, as the weight begins to lift, you find yourself ready for the next chapter of your journey, the chapter where resilience begins to shine through. And as healing begins to settle into the deepest corners of your heart, something powerful awakens within you. It is quiet at first, almost unnoticed, like a flame flickering in the darkness. But over time, it grows brighter, warmer, stronger. This is resilience, the strength that rises from the very places where you once felt broken. It is the reminder that everything you have endured has not been wasted, that every scar has shaped you into someone who refuses to be defeated. Resilience is not about never falling, it is about rising each time you do. It is the strength that whispers, even if I bend, I will not break. Think about all the times you thought you could not go on, and yet you did. The moments you swore you were at your limit, but somehow you took one more step. That was resilience at work, even when you did not name it. It is not loud or dramatic. Often it is the simple act of showing up for your own life, despite the pain you carry. You see, challenges are not meant to destroy you. They are meant to reveal what has always been inside you. Every difficulty is like a fire, and though the fire may burn, it also refines. Gold is only purified when it passes through flames. And in the same way, your struggles refine you, stripping away doubt, fear, and the parts of you that no longer serve your future. What remains is stronger, clearer, more resilient. And yet, resilience is not just about surviving. It is about learning to thrive even after the storm. It is choosing to find meaning in the mess, light in the shadows, hope in the ruins. It is standing in front of your reflection, no matter how tired or scarred, and saying, I am still here, and that alone is victory. Resilience turns your wounds into wisdom. It transforms your tears into lessons, your pain into power. There will be moments when you feel like giving up, when the weight feels unbearable and the path ahead too long. In those moments, resilience does not ask you to leap forward. It simply asks you not to stop. Even if all you can do is crawl, even if all you can manage is one small step, resilience whispers that progress is still progress. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is simply to keep breathing, to keep going, to refuse to let the darkness swallow you.
Think about the strength of trees. When storms rage, they may sway and bend under the force of the winds, but their roots hold them steady. Some may lose branches, some may be scarred by lightning, but still stand, season after season. Your resilience is like those roots. Life may bend you, storms may scar you, but as long as you remain rooted in hope, you will rise again.
And here is the truth. Resilience is built, not born. It grows with every challenge you face, every setback you overcome, every time you decide to keep going. Perhaps you didn't realize it, but every difficult moment you survived has been training you for strength. Every heartbreak, every failure, every disappointment has been shaping you, preparing you, teaching you that you are capable of far more than you ever imagined. So when you face new struggles, remember that resilience is already within you. It is in the way you dry your tears and get out of bed. It is in the way you find laughter even in the middle of pain. It is in the way you keep believing in something better even when life has tried to convince you otherwise. That is resilience, the unshakable belief that no matter how many times you are knocked down, you will rise again. And as resilience grows, it changes the way you see your journey. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You begin to ask, what is this teaching me? Instead of seeing obstacles as punishments, you see them as stepping stones. Instead of resenting the storm, you start to understand that it is shaping you into someone who can weather anything. Resilience does not erase pain, but it transforms it into purpose. One day you will look back and realize that the very battles you once wished you could avoid became the source of your greatest strength. You will see that the times you cried in silence, the nights you felt unseen, the seasons you thought would never end, those were the very moments that built your resilience brick by brick. And without them, you would not be the person you are becoming. So when the next storm comes, do not be afraid. Do not see it as the end, but as another chance to prove to yourself that you are stronger than you think. Let resilience be the voice that steadies you when fear tries to take over. Let it remind you that you have endured before and you will endure again. This is the gift of resilience, not that life becomes easier, but that you become stronger. Not that storms stop arriving, but that you learn how to dance in the rain. And with each storm you survive, your roots grow deeper, your light shines brighter, and your spirit grows unshakable. And as resilience takes root within you, something else begins to blossom alongside it, a quiet, steady hope that reminds you no night lasts forever. And as resilience becomes a steady companion in your journey, you begin to notice that something else quietly awakens within you. It is fragile at first, like the first rays of dawn breaking through the horizon after a long night. It is hope, the soft but powerful reminder that no darkness is permanent, no winter is endless, and no pain can steal the possibility of brighter days ahead. Hope is not naive, nor is it blind. It does not deny the reality of your struggles or pretend that everything is easy. Instead, hope sits beside your pain and whispers, even this will pass. It is the thread that ties you to tomorrow, the unseen force that pushes you to take one more step, even when your feet feel heavy. Without hope, resilience would only be survival. But with hope, survival becomes growth. and growth blossoms into the belief that life can still hold beauty. There will be moments when hope feels far away, when despair tries to convince you that things will never change. On those days, hope is not a loud voice. It is a faint flicker, a small spark hidden within you. And yet, even the smallest spark can light the way in total darkness. Sometimes all it takes is holding on to the possibility that tomorrow might surprise you, that healing might come in ways you do not expect, that joy might return when you least imagine it.
Think of how dawn arrives. The night never ends suddenly. The sky does not switch from darkness to light in an instant. It begins with subtle shifts, the stars fading, the sky softening, a pale glow at the edge of the world. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the light spreads until the entire horizon is bathed in warmth. Hope works in the same way. It does not always come as a sudden transformation, but as a gradual unfolding, a steady return of light to the places within you that once felt lost.
When you begin to nurture hope, you start to see your circumstances differently. What once looked like a dead end now feels like a detour. What once seemed like the end of your story becomes a chapter in a much longer book. Hope does not erase pain, but it changes the way you carry it. It transforms obstacles into opportunities and teaches you to look beyond the immediate moment. And hope is contagious. When you begin to carry it, you unknowingly spread it to others. Your resilience, your quiet faith in tomorrow becomes a light for someone else still wandering in their own darkness. A simple smile, a kind word, a story of survival. These become lanterns for others who are searching for their own spark. In this way, your hope does not just heal you. It becomes part of the healing of the world around you. Perhaps you have known what it feels like to lose hope entirely, to lie awake at night convinced that the pain will never ease, to wake in the morning with no energy to rise, to feel as though life has robbed you of the will to dream. If you have been there, then you know the depth of emptiness it brings. But you are here now, listening, breathing, alive. That alone means that hope never fully abandoned you. Even when you could not feel it, it stayed with you, waiting patiently for the day you would welcome it back. Hope also asks something of you. It asks for trust. Trust that you are not defined by your current chapter. Trust that the emptiness you feel today can one day be filled with meaning. Trust that the road ahead, though uncertain, still holds moments of beauty waiting for you. And this trust is not blind optimism, it is courage. It is the choice to believe in a tomorrow worth living for, even when today feels unbearable. Think of the sea buried in the soil. It lies in darkness, unseen, surrounded by pressure and weight. To anyone watching, it looks as though nothing is happening. But within that hidden place, life is stirring. Roots begin to stretch. A stem begins to push upward. And eventually the soil breaks open to reveal growth. That is hope. The belief that even when everything looks still, something beautiful is taking shape beneath the surface. And as hope takes root within you, you will find that you are no longer only surviving your hardships. You are beginning to dream again. The visions you once buried, the goals you once abandoned, the joy you once thought impossible, all of these slowly return. You start to believe that your future can hold more than just echoes of the past. You begin to imagine love again, laughter again, peace again. Hope does not promise that life will be without challenges, but it promises that every challenge can be met with the strength you now carry. It assures you that every night will end, that every storm will eventually quiet, that every wound has the potential to heal. And this assurance becomes the anchor that steadies you when the waters rise. So when the weight of despair tries to press against you, hold on to this truth. Hope is always within reach. Even if it feels small, even if it flickers, it is still enough to guide you forward. And the more you nurture it, the brighter it grows, until one day it becomes the very light that leads you into the life you were always meant to live. And with that light shining steadily within you, the path ahead no longer feels impossible. Instead, it feels like an invitation to walk forward, to grow, to step into a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more alive than ever before. And when hope begins to glow steadily within you, it does more than lift your spirit. It guides your steps. You start to realize that life is not only about surviving the storms or waiting for the pain to pass. It is about walking toward the person you are meant to become. The path is not always clear, and it is rarely easy, but with resilience behind you and hope before you, you are ready to move forward into growth, into becoming into a life that reflects the strength you have discovered within yourself. Walking toward a better version of yourself is not about becoming someone entirely different. It is not about erasing who you are or pretending that your wounds never existed. It is about honoring the person you have always been, while gently unfolding into the person you are capable of becoming. It is about allowing your scars to remind you of what you have survived, but not letting them chain you to the past. Every step toward growth begins with small choices. The choice to treat yourself with kindness when your inner critic whispers harshness. The choice to forgive yourself when you stumble. The choice to prioritize rest when exhaustion tempts you to push beyond your limits. The choice to believe in your worth even when others fail to see it. These choices may feel small in the moment, but over time they create a foundation on which transformation is built. Growth also requires courage. The courage to face what is uncomfortable, to leave behind what no longer serves you, to embrace the uncertainty of change. It is never easy to step out of what feels familiar, even when the familiar is painful. But you are not meant to stay in places that suffocate your spirit. You are meant to rise, to expand, to step into spaces that allow you to breathe freely. And as you take these steps, you begin to notice a shift. The voice inside your mind that once only spoke of fear begins to whisper of possibility. The weight of regret starts to loosen as you focus more on what you can create than on what you cannot undo. Your energy, once consumed by survival, begins to flow into building, into dreaming, into becoming. This is what it means to walk toward a better you. Not perfection, not a flawless future, but a steady unfolding of strength, wisdom, and peace. Think about the journey of a butterfly. It begins in darkness, hidden away in a cocoon, where everything it once knew dissolves into uncertainty. From the outside, it looks like stillness, but inside a transformation is taking place. And when the time comes, the butterfly emerges not the same as before, but more radiant, more free. In many ways, your journey mirrors this. The darkness you endured, the silence, the waiting, it was your cocoon. Now, with hope and resilience, you are ready to spread your wings and step into a version of yourself that you once thought impossible. Walking toward a better you also means surrounding yourself with what nourishes your spirit, the people you choose to keep close, the words you allow to fill your mind, the spaces you spend your time in. All of these shape your journey. Choose the ones that remind you of your worth, that encourage your growth, that reflect the light you are trying to cultivate. And where there are people or places that dim your light, give yourself permission to step away. Protecting your peace is not selfish, it is necessary. Along the way, practice gratitude, not only for the good days, but also for the lessons hidden in the hard ones. Gratitude softens the edges of pain and reminds you that even in difficulty, there are moments of beauty worth holding on to. A smile from a stranger, the warmth of the sun on your skin, the sound of laughter shared with someone you love. These are reminders that life, even in its imperfection, still holds gifts worth cherishing. Do not be discouraged if the journey feels slow. Transformation rarely happens overnight. Just as rivers carve valleys over centuries, just as mountains are shaped by time, your growth unfolds gradually. Each day you choose courage, each moment you choose kindness, each time you rise after falling, you are building a life that reflects your strength. Do not measure your progress by how far you still have to go, but by how far you have already come.
And remember, walking toward a better you is not about reaching a final destination. There will always be new lessons, new challenges, new moments that ask you to grow. But instead of fearing them, you can welcome them as part of your becoming. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. Every choice to keep going is proof that you are stronger than the doubts that try to hold you back. So keep walking, one step at a time. Keep believing in the possibility of your own becoming. Keep nurturing the hope that led you out of the darkness, the resilience that carried you through the storms, and the love that reminds you that you are worthy of peace. And as you walk, you will find that life, with all its twists and turns, begins to align in ways you never thought possible. Because this is what happens when you choose growth. You begin to see yourself not as someone broken by the past, but as someone continually rising into the future. And with every step forward, you are not just moving closer to a better version of yourself, you are already becoming it. And as you continue walking, step by step, into the unfolding of who you are meant to be, something subtle begins to settle in your heart. It is not loud or dramatic, it is a quiet peace, like the stillness of dawn after a long night. You realize that even though the journey has been difficult, even though there were moments you thought you would never make it, you are still here. And being here, breathing, feeling, hoping, that itself is a miracle worth holding close. This peace does not mean life will suddenly be free of hardship. Storms will still come, disappointments will still appear, and there will still be days when the weight feels too heavy. But peace means you no longer carry that weight alone in the same way you once did. It means you trust that even when life bends and twists, there is a path opening before you. It means you believe deep down that everything you have faced has been shaping you for this very moment. Think about the times you felt like giving up, yet somehow you found the strength to take one more step. Think about the nights you cried silently, believing no one saw, but you still woke up to greet another day. Think about the pain that once felt unbearable, but now when you look back, you see how it carved a depth in your heart that allows you to feel more, to love more, to understand more. None of it was wasted. Every part of your story has carried you here into this moment of quiet strength. And now, as you stand in this place, you begin to understand that your journey has always been about more than survival. It has been about learning to trust, to release, to let go of the need to control everything, and instead allow life to unfold as it is meant to. This is not resignation, it is freedom. It is knowing that even when you do not have all the answers, even when the road ahead is uncertain, you are still held, still guided, still cared for in ways beyond what you can see. There is something incredibly powerful in surrendering, not giving up, but opening your hands and your heart to the truth that you do not have to carry it all. You do not have to fix everything at once. You do not have to rush or strive or prove your worth. You are already enough. You are already worthy of love, of rest, of peace. And the more you embrace this, the lighter you begin to feel. As this peace takes root, you find yourself more present in the small moments.
The taste of your morning tea, the laughter of a friend, the way the sky changes color in the evening, these become treasures that remind you of the beauty in simply being alive. You stop waiting for life to be perfect before you allow yourself to feel joy. You realize that joy exists even in imperfection, even in the midst of uncertainty. And it is in noticing these small moments of grace that life begins to feel whole again. You may look at yourself and still see flaws, scars, or unfinished pieces. But instead of criticizing them, you start to see them as evidence of your humanity. Your scars tell a story of survival, your flaws remind you of your humility, and your unfinished pieces keep you open to growth. You are not meant to be perfect, you are meant to be real. And in your realness, you are already radiant. As you embrace this truth, something else begins to unfold. Compassion. You start to look at others differently, realizing that everyone is carrying battles you cannot see. You no longer rush to judge or condemn, because you know what it feels like to struggle silently. Instead, you offer understanding, a kind word, a gentle smile. And in doing so, you not only bring healing to others, but you deepen the peace within yourself. It is in these acts of compassion, both toward yourself and others, that you begin to see the full circle of your journey. The pain you endured has given you wisdom. The struggles you faced have given you resilience. The hope you clung to has given you light. And now, standing here, you realize that your life, exactly as it is not broken. It is a masterpiece still in progress, beautiful in its incompleteness, sacred in its becoming. This realization fills you with a deep gratitude. Gratitude, not just for the joys and triumphs, but for the struggles and tears that shaped you. Gratitude for the lessons hidden in the waiting, for the strength discovered in the breaking, for the tenderness revealed in the healing. Gratitude because you can finally see that every part of your story, even the hardest parts, have brought you closer to this place of peace. And as you breathe into that gratitude, you feel a quiet confidence rising. You do not need to know every detail of what lies ahead. You do not need to fear the future or dwell on the past. You simply need to keep walking, one step at a time, with faith that you are guided, with trust that you are held, with hope that every moment, no matter how small, is leading you exactly where you are meant to be. So let your heart rest, let your spirit breathe. You have carried so much, and you have come so far. Now it is time to trust that you are safe, that you are loved, that your story is unfolding with purpose. Whatever pain remains will not last forever. Whatever uncertainty lingers will not break you. Whatever lies ahead, you will face it with the strength you have already proven lies within you. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the weight falling from your shoulders, the light returning to your path, the calm settling into your soul. This is where your healing continues. This is where your peace, and from here, every step you take will be a step not only toward the life you are meant to live, but toward the person you are meant to be, whole, strong, radiant, and free. And as the final words of this journey rest upon your heart, may you carry with you the truth that you are not alone, that you are more than your struggles, and that the peace you long for is already within you, waiting to be embraced. This is your moment, your time, your new beginning. Walk forward with courage, with gentleness, with love, and know that everything will be made right in its time.